Now, I know a bit more about OSG. Can you tell everyone else, because I think it's really, really cool what you're doing there?
Yeah, so OSG, it's been 30 years in the works. It is, and it's part of Indigenous owned too. So we're 22.5% Indigenous employment base, about 38% veterans, but majority veteran owned. So we came into existence because we live in very dangerous and complex times. In fact, in my time, and I'm an avid reader of history, particularly military history, I don't think we've seen the world in a more precarious position. And we live in a bit of a bubble here, but I think if you asked anyone in Eastern Europe how things are, it's worse, probably, back in the Khrushchev days when they thought Third World War was going to break out. So we purpose-built that organisation to fill a niche, and that was in the national interest, basically. So critical infrastructure, systems of national significance, defence, diplomatic missions, things like that. So that's one of my interests.
I'm dying to ask this. You're not going to answer right now, but I'll ask it anyway. Are there any particular projects you're tendering for that you can tell us about?
Yes.
Turn off the cameras.
No,
you don't have to, but I'm just going to...
We're going after a number of government defence-related contracts and diplomatic security contracts.
Fair enough. Ask him the same question again after a few beers and you'll see what the answer is. And you'll go, oh, really? Very interesting. Now, when we caught up for lunch, right at the end, he said, we do this leadership stuff. It's the company called TAG. And I was like, what's that? So the Adventure Group International. And what we can do, if you're interested, Andre, if you've got any clients, we'll fly them in with helicopters. We'll throw them out of a plane, is what you said, not parachute. Anyway, so we'll throw them out of a plane. They'll have some parachutes on. They land in somewhere. We'll land there. We'll go and shoot some people, take the hostage, and then leave the scene. I said, what movie was that in? He goes, no, we do this with people. Can you tell us a bit more about TAG and about what you're actually talking about on the day?
Yeah, so that's the high-end product, and we conduct a special operations mission. So it's a HR hostage rescue. We do parachute in. If you've not parachuted before and you don't have a licence, then we'll tandem you in. We'll do a close target reconnaissance. Then with gel blasters, we'll go in and shoot the bad guys, get the good guy, run away, get chased, get rescued, get picked up by helicopters. Then we go and attack or assault another target that's got all the beer and the barbecue stuff. We secure that. There's a saying in the military, find, fix, finish. So we find it, find the beer, fix it, and then we finish it. So that's the top end stuff. But basically what TAG does, leadership, team building, outdoor experiences, and we distill all the good stuff that SAS Regiment does, and we bring those lessons to those individuals and those groups. And it's good fun. We do it here in Southeast Queensland, and we do it in Central Otago. If anyone knows, who knows Central Otago? Glenorchy. We've got a lodge just north of Glenorchy, and we go in the hills. And everyone goes, oh shit, it's the SAS, they're going to kill us. Only if you really annoy us. A lot of hills out there. We tailor it. We tailor the physicality to suit the client.
Fair enough.
It's not selection.
So who has heard of or seen in the news the information around the Brereton report that's been released? Yep, one. Okay, I'll quickly read to everyone else. This is me 10:30 last night, Googling. The Inspector General of the Australian Defence Force Afghanistan Inquiry Report, commonly known as the Brereton Report, after the investigator, I think it's Paul Brereton who did it, as a report into war crimes committed by the Australian Defence Force, ADF, during the war in Afghanistan between 2005 and 2016. The report alleges had suggested they've got evidence of 39 murders of civilians and prisoners committed in part or condoned by the SAS. Have you got any thoughts around that?
That sounds pretty bleak, doesn't it?
It does.
So I know all the guys involved in that, every single last one of them, and almost to a man, I'd storm the gates of hell itself with them on my left and right flank. A lot of them I trained. The one thing I'll say is, whilst I know the area they're operating in, highly complex. If you're between the ages of 12 and 72, you are involved with the Taliban in some way, shape or form. military, what they call it, military age male. And again, I come back to the regiment does jobs that others either won't do or can't do, and I wasn't there on the day. There's probably about 5 or 6 of those instances that concern me, that should be investigated. The others, knowing what I know, I'm not sure they've done anything wrong, and I think the fullness of time will prove that. Yeah, if you want to know more, after a few more of these, I have an opinion. Look, there's a bunch of good people there. What the Defence Force has done has kicked out of the unit everyone that was in the unit at that time, regardless of whether they've been implicated or not, and it has destroyed lives and families, and some guys are not with us anymore because of it. So,
I was looking last night, and
people sitting back in the safety of Australia, when you've got a millisecond whether you decide to pull the trigger or not. You know, none of us go out the gate or get on the helicopter that day saying, I'm going to shoot innocent people. And again, I wasn't there, but I'd be very surprised if those people that aren't the bad guys, let's call them that, whether they were or not, I think they probably were. War is not for the faint-hearted. It's not nice. Trust me, been there. And we came up, probably 30% of the forces we came up against were Iraqi conscripts, so they didn't want to be there. And we were exceptionally lenient on those guys. You know, we'd just go, don't touch that gun, mate. Don't do it. Fast forward 4 years, we're up against the most heinous enemy I have ever come across, who treat humans, particularly women and children, appallingly. They do some absolute barbaric things, and the rules of engagement, instead of being the same, were very, very restrictive, and we were fighting basically with 1.5 arms tied behind our back. So just to provide some context from someone that's been there, done that, it's exceptionally difficult. Went deep quick there, didn't we? As part of selection, you get what they call resistance to interrogation training. And that's, aside from being captured or wounded in combat, is probably the worst experience of my life. Did it with the POMs, and I did it with the Australians. With the POMs, it was coming on winter, and I did summer selection, because they do 2 selection cycles over there. I chose to do summer selection because I hate the cold. I'm a Central Queenslander by birth. And it was the wettest, coldest selection in 15 years. Fucking yeah. I got frostbite and all sorts of shit. So it's 72 hours of being naked and being interrogated and hosed down and all sorts of stuff. It's quite inhumane, but it comes back to that stress inoculation. The first time you go through that, you don't want it to be the real time, because they're going to be a little bit nastier. Anyway, what they do when they first get you, they take everything off you, literally everything off you. I'll just rewind. I knew it was going to happen because our patrol had been picked up in a covert van, extraction. We're being extracted. The patrol commander, who was the instructor, put on a white armband, and I just looked at him and I go, it's going down, isn't it? He goes, no, mate, no. And I was a bit of a novelty. I was like their mascot because I was the only Australian there. Funnily enough, they call me Oz. And he said, if you've got any food on you, eat it now. And I think I had 3 Mars bars. So I'm just like 2 Mars bars in, they're gone. And this last Mars bar, and then the ambush occurred. The doors open. We had these Grenadier Guards were the enemy, and they were being particularly brutal. They probably all failed selection and therefore hated us. Dragged us out, started dragging the guys out. I was right at the back. And I had this last Mars bar, and I cracked it, and I couldn't, teeth marks in it, and I couldn't get it there, and I just went, what am I going to do with this? In a moment of inspiration, I decided I'd stick that down my undies and give it a good rub, and then stick it back in my pocket. Let's see where that goes. Fast forward several hours. I'm in my birthday suit, and there's two interrogators sitting at the table in front of me, a male and a female. And the female was quite derogatory about, it was cold. It was fucking cold. All this stuff there, and they're going, I was just there, and I go, can I answer that question, ma'am? Can I answer that question, sir? And she picks up the Mars bar. And I go, is this your Mars bar? Can I answer that question, ma'am? I bet you were just about to eat this when you got captured. Can I answer that question, ma'am? I'm going to eat this in front of you. And inside I went, I can do it. And she goes, But she'd committed herself. And you could see the eyes sort of going like that. And then she goes, this is the best Mars bar I've ever tasted. I just went, that's going to get me through the next 72 hours.
Great story, thank you.